Okay, we're going to do chemistry for young children today. And what chemistry for young children is all about mixing things together and getting something different. So it could be sand and water, it could be flour and water, it could be flour, salt, and water, a variety of different things that you could have children mix together. I call it concocting. And then children can concoct and mix all these different things up and see or observe changes. It could be changes in how it looks, or changes in how it feels, changes in how it smells perhaps, or even how it tastes. So what we're going to do today is we're going to work with two ingredients, vinegar and baking soda, that you're probably familiar with, and you mix the two things together, and it's very exciting for children because it has a dramatic effect when you mix these two things together. And then I also have some different colors to add to. I have red and yellow that we're going to mix together, because then when you add colors to it, then you get when children mix them together, they get a change in colors as well. So if you'll notice, I have really large containers of the vinegar and baking soda, and that's because children really love to do this experiment, and they want to do it over and over again and use a lot of materials. So I buy these at Smart and Final in the biggest containers that I can get. But if you're doing it at home with your own children, you can get smaller containers just from the grocery store. So this is my setup of how I would set it up for an individual child. So I might have 4 of these set up for 4 different children. So they would each get this setup. They'd each have a tray to kind of contain their materials. And then I would give them each a bowl of the baking soda and some various containers of the vinegar. And the reason why I have these all in different containers is so they can really mix and pour and experiment with that. And it's great for their eye-hand coordination and their fine motor skills. So I also have these little scoopers and spoons. So the scoopers I just saved from laundry detergent, and these little spoons I got from Yogurtland from the tasting. And these are really great because children have to really concentrate as they are pouring it in or scooping it in, and so that's great for their eye-hand coordination. But it also is preventing them to just wasting a lot of material. So they're just using a little bit at a time. It kind of slows them down a little bit in this. So then these are really great too. I either got them at Lakeshore or at Discount School Supplies, I can't remember, but these beakers really make them feel like they're scientists and doing science experiments. So, and then all these other little containers. So what children would be doing, they would be scooping some of these materials, the baking soda in, and then they might pour this in and see some really dramatic results there that happen. And then maybe they would add some other colors and see what happens and notice the changes. Oopsie, woohoo, that happens a lot when you are doing this with children, a lot of spills. I'm going to add some into the beaker, and woo, that's so exciting. So as you can see, this becomes really messy. It becomes a very sensory motor activity. And so what we want to do to kind of change it from a sensory activity to more of a science activity is then we need to ask, as teachers, we need to ask some really good questions and get children to try to go through the scientific method. So I have the scientific method here, and the scientific method is asking questions, making predictions, or forming hypotheses. And so the kinds of questions that we would want to be asking would be questions that would get them to think about, what do you think is going to happen when we mix these two ingredients together? Or what do you think is going to happen when we mix these two colors together? And then they would make a prediction as to what they think is going to happen. And then you would do the experiment. So a hypothesis would be more of come from a why question. Why do you think that happens? Why do you think it bubbles over like that? And so they have all of these little theories. Remember, Piaget talked about them being the little scientists and coming up with their own little theories. And so they have all kinds of theories about why that might happen. I think there's bubbles in here, and so the bubbles are making that happen. Whatever they might come up with as their hypotheses, with their theory. So then we perform the experiment. So this is the experiment. And then we discuss the results. And so we talk about what happened. What did we see? Why do we think we saw that? Why do we think that was happening? And compare those results. And then we could actually document that by putting a graph together where we graph their predictions and then maybe graph the results. And so that changes, going through the scientific method really changes this from a very exploratory sensory activity to a science activity where children are more critically thinking about what they're doing. So we have a big role to play as a teacher in getting them to go through those steps of the scientific method. So anyways, I'm going to play with this a little bit more since I have all these materials here. So I'm going to put some in here and add some colors to that. Whoa, look at the color it changed to. And then they might notice that it's not being as fizzy anymore. So then they have to perform another experiment and add some more to see if that changes it. And then they try it again, and yeah, it does. So maybe if I add a lot, it'll make a big explosion. So they're constantly trying out their little theories that they come up with. So that is chemistry for young children. Have fun.